Spoiler warning for Fallout 4 and nuka-world DLC and Fallout 3 and Broken Steel DLC and potentially other DLC in Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. I was sitting here thinking about the nuka-world DLC. I played it, I don't know how many times, I lost count. The only ending for the nuka-world DLC is the Raider ending. I know Bethesda don't touch on DLCs, but this DLC has the Raiders invading the Commonwealth and going to war with the Minutemen, potentially wiping them out. Bethesda has to say which ending is canon, which I think it will be the Raider ending, just like in Fallout 3, the Broken Steel DLC that involved the Capital Wasteland. They had touch on it. They didn't have the touch on Mothership Zeta or Point Lookout, but this one they have to.
Fine.
Let's talk about then, since the Raider ending is canon, unless I am wrong and Bethesda puts out Fallout 5 and says no, totally wrong to that idea. Well, what is the canon ending in Fallout 4 then? Is the Soul Survivor a good guy, a bad guy, or just trying to survive? I mean, what's the reasons for the Soul Survivor to like do a good ending or whatever ending it is and then join with the Raiders? It's like, that makes no sense to me. Well, let's investigate. If the Institute ending is canon, then I think what happens is that the Soul Survivor knows when the Railroad and the Brotherhood of Steel comes back to try to stop the Institute, that nothing is stopping the Minutemen from disobeying the General and siding with the enemies of the Institute, like during the Quest Pen. During the Quest Pen, Father tells you to go down there, the scientist calls in the Minutemen, and you try to order the Minutemen to stand down. They're like, no, are you crazy? That's the Institute. We're going to go in there and kill them. Come on. You know? But then if you order them to stand down, they're like, we're not an army. We don't take orders from you. And then if you do another one, like, if you go in there, I'll shoot you, they'll eventually back down. And on all of those speech checks to back them down, if you have Preston Garvey as a companion, he will dislike it. I don't know if he hates it, but it's between dislike and hate. And it appears you're not the leader of the Minutemen, but a yes man to the Minutemen. Just leading them, having no say at all. When the Railroad and Brotherhood of Steel comes back, the Minutemen could just put another person in your place and kick you out as the General of the Minutemen. I mean, do you think the Minutemen would ally with the Institute? The boogeyman of the Commonwealth, the result of all the evils in the Commonwealth? Nope, I don't think so. The Institute did try to start and preserve the Commonwealth provisional government before it failed. The Institute don't do things twice and focuses on all angles and what will work. I mean, I can see it now. The director saying, no, let's try to revive it. And the scientists say, sir, we already tried to do it and it failed. It's a waste of time, in my opinion, to do it a second time. Well, there you go. You know, that's probably going to be the opinion of them. I mean, I could be wrong, but, you know, the Minutemen is enemies with the Institute and attacked the Institute before the Minutemen fell as a faction until the Soul Survivor rebuilds them up. Soul Survivor becomes overboss of the Raiders, kills off the Minutemen, and forms a government with the Institute. The Institute can always put a synth in place of the Soul Survivor as overboss of the Raiders in case the Raiders decides to kill the overboss. The Soul Survivor will be in the Institute doing his duties while Synth Soul Survivor carries out the Institute's will on the Commonwealth. Think about a part of the Institute using the Raiders to start a form of government instead of the Minutemen. Think about it. Every settler you have equals 3 caps, meaning just like taxes. The max in your chest for caps is at 20,000 caps. That's the chest in nuka-world got to collect caps from. The farms send crops and caps to nuka-world into the surrounding settlements taken over by the Raiders. Mr. House turned 3 raider gangs into supporting him: White Glove Society, Omertas, and Chairman, which is the Tops. Now they're civilized. Why can't the Institute do the same? Mama Murphy does say in the Institute ending that you will save humanity, but you won't be loved. Could this be the reason you're not loved? Because you start a form of oppressive type of government, kill off the Minutemen, and enslave and kill the people of the Commonwealth. So another thing to consider, what if the railroad ending is canon? Will the railroad tolerate the raiders to take over the Commonwealth, destroy the Minutemen, and will the railroad turn a blind eye to the raider activities because the overboss is a railroad agent? Well, Desdemona, obviously I can't pronounce her name right, do not like the Minutemen because they represent the bigotry towards Gen 3 synths, especially if the sole survivor as overboss of the raiders can prevent the people from killing Gen 3 synths when before the Minutemen failed. Because in Desdemona's eyes, they are the reason why Gen 3 synths killed. They comprise the people of the Minutemen. I mean, think about it. I think some people in the railroad, like Deacon, will have moral issues with it. I mean, Deacon wants to help people, and I know he's a liar, but he did say that he wished Desdemona would do a green light to occasionally help people that's not Gen 3 synths, because that will go a long way. We have to talk about the potential of the theory. If the sole survivor is a Gen 3 synth from the Institute, then it would make sense. Gabriel was a runaway sin mind wipe and become a leader of a raider gang that nobody could kill and was really ruthless. If the sole survivor is a Gen 3 synth, that would explain the sole survivor becoming overboss. Gen 3 synths have that calculating mind, and this would be Bethesda's way of saying you got the good karma ending to Fallout 4, but Gen 3 synths are not humans but evil and should be controlled or wiped out, and this is the reason why. The humans in the Commonwealth does want to wipe out the Gen 3 synths, because they might be an agent for the Institute. Look what Dima did in the Far Harbor DLC. He had a new code to wipe out Children of Adam, and he had a code to turn off the fog condensers to Far Harbor to kill them off in case Dima cannot control them, or in case one of them threatens a Acadiana. Another thing to consider, will the raider leaders of the operators and the pack and the disciples care the overboss is a Gen 3 synth or not? I think Porter Gage will mind call synths creeps him out, but Porter Gage won't have support to do this from the other raider leaders as long as the pack knows who is boss. And the operators keep swimming in caps, and the disciples gets to kill people, or whatever keeps them motivated. And the sole survivor could be overboss forever until someone kills the sole survivor or dies by the natural elements of the waste. Unless Porter Gage changes his mind and wants to become the overboss, then I can see Porter Gage killing the sole survivor. Remember, the only reason Porter Gage helped you take out the last raider leader is the raider leaders were unhappy, and Porter Gage had the support of 2 of the raider gang leaders. So why can't the Brotherhood of Steel be the canon ending? I can't see the Raiders taking on the Brotherhood of Steel and wiping them out, plus no option to blow up the prywden at all. I think the Brotherhood of Steel would wipe out the Raiders regardless of the sole survivor being the overboss of the Raiders. Plus, the Brotherhood of Steel would not tolerate this at all. The Brotherhood of Steel attacking the Gunners, they have attacked the Raiders because they do use power armor. That Brotherhood of Steel can say is abuse of technology. And when we need to think about it is the Raiders, they could kill off the Minutemen, they could kill off the Railroad. I mean, I don't think they could kill off the Institute, but the Raiders wouldn't no mind at all to be allies with the Institute, or to turn a blind eye to the Railroad activities. So why not the Minutemen ending where the Institute and the prywden is destroyed? I think because there's no reason for the sole survivor to side with the Raiders, At nuka-world, unless the sole survivor believes Porter Gage on the Minutemen is doomed to fail, and all the work you're putting into it is nothing. The Minutemen failed before, nothing stopping them this time. The sole survivor joined to become a raider and work for something that will last nightfall. I honestly don't see how this can carry over future Fallout games at all.